So I ground the damn thing off. It's so seized. So I ground it this way and that way, and I just rotated it one way then the other way in order to get the right angle to get at it to grind it off. But there is a metal sleeve on the outside of it, and once I get that metal sleeve off, I can get to the rubber and then get to the sleeve and then heat it up, heat the sleeve up, and then break the rust and hopefully get that bolt and recover the bolt without destroying the bolt. Because there's my new getup. Because you can heat the bolt up, but then you got to replace the bolt, and the bolt's not easy to get a hold of. So it's better to pull the old crap off and take care of the sleeve around it, break that rust, and then knock it down and reuse the bolt without having to buy a bolt. But if you can easily get a bolt, fine. Heat the bolt up and blast it out, but about the same amount of time. Always using the grinder, the angle grinder, to go with the sparks towards the ground, however I hold it. Don't want sparks to go flying up in the engine with high mileage engine with a little bit of oil leaks and stuff. Just reduce the risk. But I'm through this side of the collar, so now I just rotate it. Can't touch it, of course. It'll be extremely hot. So we're just gonna grab it with the vice grips and rotate it around, and get the other side, finish it off, and then I can get rid of the rubber, and then I'm at the sleeve and we're in good shape. And I take breaks in between just so I don't light everything on fire, because when something gets super hot, you could start a combustion process. So there, I'm breaking it off so I get one half. Of course, it's welded to the rubber from all the melting, but I'll just keep working on it until I pull the pieces out, and I'm finally going to get at that rubber and shred it and get down to the sleeve. So after shaving all the rubber off in little bits and pieces so I can get the collar that is seized to a point that it looks like this, I can put a torch to it and rotate it for a while, a couple minutes. Just keep rotating it, get it nice and hot, and then vice grips on it and up against there underneath, torque it off with a nice breaker bar and a T55, get it loose enough, and then I was able to tap it down hard a bunch of times, and I got it level, and then I just use one of these to get it all the rest of the way through. Bolt drops out, and the bolt never really got heated up. Everything else was heated up, so the bolt's integrity is still good. So that was, I don't know, it was, to me, like ordering a bolt, go getting a bolt, doing all that is the same amount of time as grinding the part off, shaving the rubber off, heating it up, clamping it, breaking the rust, popping it out. So yay, at least it's not like, you know, the moon's out. I gotta wait till the next day though, because I got defeated the first day. So the replacement part, let's rotate. So there's the replacement part. Ball joint is part of the assembly, and the only thing to watch for is when reassembling this, we have to make sure that it's with the right tightness, but it's lined up with there so that the cotter pin can go through there and get bent around, so that this never gets loose. But that's the last task. The first task is just to put it in and get the forward and reverse and back frame bolt's done. And then pop this in place and bolt it in. Important note, if you insert the whole thing and then try to put the bolts in, this will have to bend and it won't work because of the way this has to lean down. The holes won't line up. It's better to put this up level, put the bolt through loosely, and then tie in the other stuff. So yeah, just by positioning it and working it through, now I can just bend down on it and it will be just fine for inserting it on this side and then underneath. Tail bolts are in, again, starting with this one, then doing this one actually, because when there's pressure underneath, it just holds it on an angle and you can't get the bolt through. So it's better to do this one next, get it threaded, and then finally put this one up through and only put the thread through a little bit, get the nut on, and then tap it with the hammer a little bit and push it up a little more and just thread it some more. And then you're good to start tightening all of the nuts according to the proper torque specs. So lastly, when you tighten this bolt up for the ball joint, make sure you get it snug, and then you've got that hole to worry about. Get it lined up before you put the cotter key in. And it usually comes with the brand new cotter key, so insert it and bend it on the other side. And now we go around the other side and bend it. Alright, final thing, sway bar link. So it's just neoprene bushings and washers and crank it up. So I'll take a picture and demonstrate. I forgot to mention that the shaft here, I mean, everything gets so corroded. And this little collar that goes on the shaft, everything just gets so seized. But if you put some white lithium grease, that's what I do on the shafts of the bolts that are going on the control arm. Because, I don't know, at some point in the future, someone, somewhere, might want to change out the part. And if it's not totally seized because there's white lithium grease in there that just keeps it from completely seizing, you're better off. So from the bottom and the top, same thing, mirror image. There's the bolt head, of course the nut in this case, and the washer. Neoprene bushing with the nub down. This one's the nub up, the flat side against the washer, the spacer, the washer, a flat side against the washer, the nub against the control arm, the nub underneath facing up, and then the washer and the bolt head. And that's the way it goes together. I like to use a deep socket on top and a wrench on the bottom instead of a wrench on top and a socket on the bottom in this case. So I've cranked it until the threads get to the end, and then the neoprene bushings are appropriately squished. And so we're good. All the bolts are tight. And wheel can go back on and everybody's good. All right, almost good. The wheel speed sensor ABS wire has some retainer clips that go back on to the new control arm, and of course it doesn't come with them. So I'm going to take some linesman's pliers and gently pull the clips out of the old control arm, pop them into the new one, and if they seat solidly, I'll reuse them. If they don't, I'll go get some. So I'll get these out of here. So because it's so old and the plastic's old and brittle, even using a trim removal tool to pry it rather than just yank on it isn't going to work. So I'm stuck getting the new clamps because it ain't good enough. So the plastic looks okay, but when you try to put some pressure on it, the ribs just don't come out. It separates.